Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another week in our Spark Series Weekly Lunch and Learn. I'm Kim. I'm joined today by our teacher for the day, Josh Willie, who is on our product team. And we're so excited today to walk you through some packages. A couple of housekeeping items that we're going to start with today. This is a Q&A session. There's a Q&A, so we're going to go through packages. And then as you have questions when we go through, use that Q&A button within your Zoom window to ask questions. We'll answer those questions throughout, and then please don't use the chat area. The chat area was where I'm going to drop some links here in a few minutes for some upcoming things that we have going on. But when you post things in the Q&A section, we can actually go back and look over the questions, make sure we answered them, and get back to you if we missed any. So please use that Q&A section. And then also, we will be posting this on our CourtReserve YouTube channel within the next 24 hours or so. So if you missed the beginning of this, we'll say this at the end again, but if you missed the beginning, you can come back or you can listen to it again and rewatch, because there's going to be a lot of good stuff Josh is going to go over here with packages. All right, Josh, let's get into a couple more things before you get started. A couple of events coming up. There is a Club Pickleball Mastermind that is coming up in March with Club Pickleball USA and out in Utah. Devin is the mastermind behind how to set up pickleball facilities and run your facilities. So if you haven't checked out Mastermind, definitely book a call with Devin to find out more about what these experiences are like. But he takes you through really the formula of how to run a successful pickleball operation out from their experiences and vendors they use and things like that. So definitely give Devin a shout if you're interested in learning more. And then also, Catalyst is back. Josh and I are super excited to be going on our 2026 Catalyst tour along with the rest of our CourtReserve team. Our first one for 2026 is in St. Augustine next week. So we have a load of our CourtReserve teaching team that's going to be joining us. We're doing things a little bit differently this year. We're going to be doing like a day and a half almost, where we're going to have like one day of round or a half a day of round tables to start, and then the next day is full classroom session with active and live teaching. So we are so excited. If you're interested, go to courtreserve.com/catalyst conference. And I'm going to throw these links up here too in a second once Josh gets started. But buy tickets. We even dropped the prices for 2026. So we just want everybody to come out. I think we're planning on having at least 6 this year. So we're going to be hitting all parts of the country. So definitely go to the Catalyst site within our website, courtreserve.com/catalyst user or Catalyst conference, and you can learn more about where we're going to be this year. All right, and then we've got some exciting events coming up, and actually today is January 22nd, and that is why Ashley is not here joining us today. She typically joins us on these Spark series. Ashley is speaking at the racquet City series. So if you are at the racquet City series right now and you're listening to us on this Spark webinar, go ahead and find Ashley, give her a shout and say, hey, we're also going to be at the Southern Annual Meeting that is also starting today as well. So our team is in Atlanta. Feel free to give them a shout and say, hey, if you're also visiting these conferences.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. Let me jump over into CourtReserve now and start going over packages. So today we're going to be going over just some best practices and some different ways that we can use packages at our facility. So I'm not going to be going too in depth over the general setup for a package. I will be kind of highlighting how we can set up our different eligibility types for the package. But the main things that I really want to set up for us and kind of go over today are: one, the different types of packages we could set up for our facility. Two, how we can sell these packages directly on our member portal for our players to purchase themselves. And then three, some new functionality that we released last year, giving you a way to auto-assign packages at a monthly basis for specific membership types. But let's kind of jump back to the beginning and go over some of the basics. So if you aren't using packages yet at your facility, what is a package? A package is going to be a virtual punch card that you can sell or offer to your players. And when you are setting up this package, you are going to be able to choose the specific services that this package is eligible to be used on. So we can create a package that's just for reservations, just for lessons, or just for events, or we can do a hybrid package that offers a little bit of everything. So you will have that freedom to sort of configure these packages in the way that best fits the needs for your facility. So the first thing I want to go over is just setting up those different eligible services that we want to use this package on, and just some best practices and some things to consider when you are setting up these different eligible services. So when we're on the setup page for a package, all the way on the bottom of this page, we're going to have a few different tabs here. And this is going to be where we are setting up whether or not a reservation, a lesson, or an event is eligible for this package. So on the first tab here, we're going to have our court time or our reservations. And the three things that we need to consider when we are setting up the eligible court time is one, which reservation types do we want this package to be eligible to be used for? Two, the duration of the actual reservation that a player may be using this package on. And then three, what is going to be the punch value for this reservation type at this duration? So to kind of keep it simple in my example here, you can see I have it set up so that a 60-minute reservation is going to be one punch value, whereas a 2-hour reservation is going to be a 2-punch value. Something to consider here when we are setting up the package is we want to make sure we are adding all of those different durations that this package can be used on. And what I mean by that is right now, based on my current setup here, if a player booked a 90-minute reservation, right now that's not an eligible court time that this package can be used on. So a player would not be able to actually use this package to pay for this reservation if the duration of that reservation was 90 minutes. So that's really the key thing that I wanted to point out here, making sure we have all of those different duration options available for this package in the case, for example, that we are offering our reservations in a 30-minute increment. On the lessons tab, we're going to see a pretty similar setup here. So we can choose from the lesson types. We can, again, choose the specific durations that we want to offer here. And then we can also choose those punch values again. The main difference here is we're going to also be able to choose from instructors as well. So if we offer a lot of different lessons at our facility and we have a large group of pros or instructors at our facility, we could even go as far as creating packages for specific instructors if we wanted to. We can, of course, kind of leave the instructor section set to all if we want this package to be eligible for any pro or instructor, and we're mostly just focusing on the lesson type. But that, of course, is an option here if we did want to configure our packages in that way. And then the last section here is going to be for our event categories. So this one's going to be a little bit different here. We can, of course, choose from the eligible event categories that we want this package to be used on. We can choose the punch value for a drop-in registration in that event category. And we can continue to sort of filter those specific instructors that need to be assigned to this event in order for the player to use this package for this registration. The main difference here is we aren't choosing a duration for the event. So no matter how long or how short that event is going to be, the main things that we are going to be choosing for this eligible service here is going to be the event category and the instructors that we are setting up for this specific package. So this kind of goes over how we set up the eligibility for a package here. So now I kind of want to walk us through some different ways that we can set up this package in our organization. So first, I want to start off with the fact that we are able to add a start date and an end date to a package here. So in this example that I'm setting up, I'm going to be setting up a package that's specifically for the year of 2026. Since that is the case, if we were preparing this package maybe at the end of 2025, we would be able to go in while we're setting up this package and say that we want the start date for this package to be January 1st, 2026. So that kind of gives us the ability to allow a player to pre-purchase this package, even if we want this package to maybe go active for a future date. We also have the ability to set up an end date for this package as well. And when we check package can expire here, we actually have two different ways that we're going to be able to set up the end date for this package. The first one I'll go over is the expire on specific date option. This one would apply more to the example that I'm setting up here. So if we only want this package to be eligible to be used in 2026, we can say that no matter when I purchase this package, I'm always going to want this package to expire on the last day of 2026, regardless of when I purchase this package. So this option here would apply if we are trying to set a hard end date that applies to all of our players, regardless of when that package was added to their account. But the other option that we have here is going to be the dynamic expiration. And this dynamic expiration is really going to be based on when this package was purchased on the player's account. So maybe once a player purchases a package, we don't want those punches to sit on their account forever until they have actually used those punches. Maybe we only want this package to be active and eligible for use for a specific period of time after they have purchased it. Maybe we want to offer a special package for a short period of time. But regardless of when the player purchased that package, we only want the player to be able to use the punches on that package for up to 3 months after that purchase date. Those are kind of the two different scenarios that we can set up here when it comes to actually setting an expiration date for the package. Of course, the start date and the end date here are optional. So if you don't really care too much about the package starting on a specific date or ending on a specific date, and you are good with the package just kind of indefinitely sitting on the player's account until they've used all of those punches, we of course can just kind of disregard the start date and the expiration date for it. But the setting below those two settings here is going to be the package eligible to be sold on the portal/app. This setting here is going to allow us to offer this package as an option that a player can purchase directly from the member portal without having to involve an admin in any way, shape, or form. So, there may be some cases where there's a package and you don't want the player to be able to purchase it themselves, but maybe you will have a beginner essentials package like I have here, and you want a player to be able to purchase it at any time. In that case, we can check this setting off here, and we are going to see some additional settings that we can apply after we have chosen to sell this package directly on the member portal. The first two settings we're going to see here are going to be the purchase start and end date for this package. We do have similar date fields like this when we are setting up membership types. And really the purpose for the purchase start date and end date is for the organization to optionally choose the date range that this package should be visible on the member portal for a player to purchase. So maybe we're going to offer this package for a short period of time, and we don't want to have to worry about, at the end of January, going into this package and manually unchecking the package eligible to be sold on the portal/app checkbox. In that case, we can add a purchase end date here, and that way we know that on this date, the package is going to become hidden on the member portal, and players will not be able to purchase this package themselves directly on the member portal. And it applies the same way with the purchase start date. So maybe we want to set up a package for, and I know this is a little bit far ahead, but let's say we're setting up a package for 2027, and we have a package start date for January 1st, 2027. But maybe we want to offer this package a little bit earlier than January so that a player is able to pre-purchase this package and have it ready to go on their account as soon as the year changes to 2027. In that case, we can choose a purchase start date that maybe is going to be closer to the end of 2026. So that way a player has an opportunity to purchase that package before the new year starts. Below that, we're also going to see that we can show this package to specific membership types when we are selling it on the member portal. So maybe we want to offer a similar package to our different membership types, but maybe we want the pricing to differ a little bit for that premium tier member versus a non-member. In that case, we would be able to set up specific packages for each membership type, and we can make sure that when we are selling it on the member portal, we are only showing it to the specific membership type that should be able to purchase it at that specific price. And that also applies to the eligible services that we are adding to this package. Maybe for our premium membership, we want to give them access to more or additional event categories or additional lesson types for their package. But maybe we want to keep the non-member package type a little bit more restricted on what the player can actually use it on. These are going to be those different ways that you can sort of pick and choose what is offered for each package type. And of course, you can then kind of choose which specific membership types would be able to actually see and purchase that specific package that you are setting up. When we are selling it on the member portal, we also do get a link to the specific package type that we are setting up here. So if you wanted to maybe create a marketing email that had a link where the player could quickly get to a specific package type, you would be able to use this URL that we have here, and you would be able to quickly have a player get to that specific page so that they could purchase that package without going through too many clicks on the member portal. And lastly, the last setting that we have here related to selling a package on the member portal is if it is going to be eligible to assign by family. So if we have this setting unchecked and it can't be assigned by family, we can have this package set up so that only one individual is able to use the punches on this package. But if we do check this setting, that means that a family would be able to use this package here and the punches that are on it. So if we want, both parents and the child to be able to use any of these punches that are available, we can check this setting here. But if we only want the individual that is purchasing this package to be able to use those punches, we can keep this setting unchecked here and kind of just keep it at an individual level when they're purchasing. So I definitely wanted to highlight just the ability to sell the packages on the member portal, because I know this was a newer setting that we did not have originally when we had released packages a few years ago. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. The last thing that I wanted to go over was the ability to auto assign a package, but I do want to make sure there aren't any questions that I'm missing in the Q&A. So Kim, are there any questions that you feel like are worth pointing out while we're live here?
There's one that I think we can hit first here, and it's the one at the top of the list around just selling packages and showing them anonymously. But I think the way that you may have touched on this question already, but it says that since they can only have one membership per person, we're utilizing packages with a very large number of visits or unlimited access for the month. Currently, it appears that packages screen on the client portal only displays packages to signed in people. Is this going to change to show packages to everyone, including the anonymous users, so we can market them just like memberships? So my question is, can that public URL be made visible without having to sell the package? Maybe she's already auto assigning this package, but they're trying to use this as a sales tool.
Yeah, so right now we don't have any URLs that show in that anonymous view. I know that we have talked about that, and that is an improvement that we want to make. Right now, we don't have a URL for specific package types that is viewable if you are not logged in. I know in the future we do want to add that anonymous view for both a specific package type and for that general packages landing page where you can see all of those different packages that are available. But right now, we only have this one URL that does require you to be logged in.
Okay, cool. Was there additional items you wanted to touch on here, or did you want me to go through a couple more of these questions? Some of them are use case specific.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we can go through a few use cases before we
Okay.
go over the actual auto assigning feature.
Sure. Is there a way to set up packages under categories? For all family packages, click on Family, drop down can appear with the options. For an individual package, same thing, click on Individual and drop down will appear.
Yeah, so right now we don't have that landing page for packages set up, so you can easily filter by, those individual packages versus those family packages. That
Great.
definitely is great feedback for us, and I'm sure we can definitely take a look at adding some filters to that landing page so that you are able to easily filter which packages apply in which cases.
Awesome. Here's a good one about packages with expiration dates. I've noticed that when I set up package with a specific expiration date, our players can book the event by that date, but it can be for a future date. Example, expiration date is the last day of the month. As long as they book by the last day, they can use the package even if the date is in the next month. What is there a way that we can correct this?
Yeah, so right now, when it comes to just selling a package to a player, that expiration date is really just going to be the last day that they can apply those punches to a service, a reservation or an event. And in that case, it is not going to look at the reservation or event date. That is a restriction that we do sort of have in place with the auto assign packages. So I definitely will touch about how that behavior works with the auto assign packages. But that's definitely a good piece of feedback as well, just kind of restricting that expiration range so that it can only be applied to reservations or events that take place in that same time period.
Okay, and here's one last question, maybe before we go through the auto assigning feature. If we have a separate price by package by membership, does that mean we need to create different packages for each member type?
Yes. So in that case where, you maybe want to have a non-member package option and a premium membership option, just to create an example here, you would want to create separate package types if you are going to have different pricing or if you are going to have different reservations, lessons, and events that would be offered to those different membership types. So if the price is going to be different or if those eligible services are going to be different, you would want to create a different package for each of those cases. And you would just want to make sure that when you are making this package eligible on the member portal, you're only showing it to the correct membership that should be able to purchase under that price and with those eligible services.
Okay, cool. There's a couple more, actually, there's another one here that may be use case specific. I'm curious on your thoughts. I have some thoughts, but I'll let you defer on the question. I would like to sell clinics. Drop-in will be X price, but if they buy five, they get a package discount. How do I do that?
Yeah, so when we are setting up this package here, there's no sort of automatic calculation based on the dollar amount of the registration versus the price of the package. That would be something that you would want to consider when you are setting up the package. So, if this package here is $200 with 20 punches, that means that each punch here is going to be X amount. And I would really kind of use that to kind of base the punch value for the event registration, for example, here. Or, if we're going to be choosing reservation types, kind of taking a look at what the dollar amount is for that specific reservation type at this duration, and kind of making sure that the price of this package and the total number of punches that the player gets aligns with that amount, whether it be you want it to be the equal dollar amount, or maybe you want there to be a slight discount in the amount if they were using punches. Those would all be things that I would say you would want to consider when you're actually setting up that package.
Awesome. Um, okay, let's go through what you wanted to look through in the automated piece, and then we'll address maybe some of these additional questions as we go through.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. So at some point in 2025, I can't remember when exactly, we did add a new setting to packages that gave facilities a new way to sort of be utilizing packages in their organization. I mean, it's going to be closer to the top of the setup page for a package. You're going to see the set package to be auto assigned checkbox. And this setting here will allow you to auto assign packages on a monthly basis to specific membership types at no additional cost. So this can be a great way for you to maybe give some additional perks to specific membership tiers. And a plus that I would also say to this is, since they would be getting this package here, a package is going to be a payment type. So if I get a package every month for free under my membership type, the package is still a payment type, meaning it will still go through the typical refund process if I ever do cancel a reservation and I paid for that reservation using a package. I know that was one issue that some facilities had when using our discounting feature, where you could give X amount of free reservations or events to specific membership types. And when you cancel that reservation under the discount, since it's not a payment type, you don't really have a way to approve or decline if that player gets that free hour or that free reservation back. But with the package, since this is almost like a virtual, payment process, this is going to be something that you can choose if the player gets that punch back or not, even if it's from this auto assign package that the player gets for free. So when we are setting up the auto assign package, really how this is going to work is at the start of the month, that package for that specific month will be assigned to the player. And from there, you will have the option to choose the punch eligibility period. And what this really means is if I get a package auto assigned in February, if I only want those punches to be used on reservations, lessons, or events that took place in February, I can choose the assigned month only option. If I'm fine with the player maybe paying for a previous reservation in January with this package or paying for an event registration that takes place in March, we can also use the any time period option. So you do have some flexibility here and have some different ways that you can restrict when these punches can actually be used. Below that, we're going to be choosing the actual membership types that this package should be auto assigned to. So, if we want to have a auto assigned package that's for our premium membership that offers some different services versus the package that we want to auto assign to our typical individual membership type, we would be able to set up a package for both of those membership types, and we would be able to set it to auto assign. So that way we can pick and choose what services players will get at no additional cost on a monthly basis. And then in addition to that, we can choose when those services take place, if the package would be able to be used for that specific reservation. So when we are auto assigning a package here, we're going to be choosing the total punches that are available for this package. And again, this would be going to the players under that membership type for no additional cost. So we won't have a way to set up a price here. And then the next thing we would be setting up is those different eligible services that this package could be used on. So again, this is a great way for you to just give some additional perks to specific membership types, maybe give them a few free open plays or a few free reservations that they could book on a monthly basis. And then again, from there, if they ever had to cancel that event or that reservation, you sort of get the opportunity to choose if that player should get that free punch back or not. So definitely some great benefits to using the auto assign packages if you are a facility that is giving free reservations or free event registrations to open play, for example, for some of your higher tier memberships. And I definitely recommend trying it out if you are interested in learning more about that. I know that we do have an article in our knowledge base that goes over specifically setting up the auto assign packages if you do want to learn more.
Hey Josh, kind of to piggyback on this automated one, there's a question that just came in. By default, all packages refresh to the number of punches every single month. Is it a month from the date the package was purchased?
Yeah, so how that is going to work is when we have the auto assign set up, it's going to assign those packages on the first of the month, and they will automatically expire on the last day of the month. So there's not going to be any rollover that happens here. They just kind of get to use those packages that are available to them the month that the package was auto assigned. And then if they don't use those punches, they will lose the package for February, but then they also get the March package assigned to them on the 1st of March.
All right. And for everybody, I'm also going to paste the link to the knowledge base article about packages too in the chat, just so everybody has a direct link to that. Josh, how are we looking on time here? Do we have a couple minutes for a few more questions?
Yeah, definitely. We can go over a few more questions.
Okay, perfect. This is an interesting one, and I'm just curious to get this answer out for everybody. How do punches work with batch billing?
Yeah, so right now, when you are running a batch of invoices, the system is not going to be looking at available punches that are on the player's account. So it is going to always be looking at just the credit card or the e-check that is on the player's account if you are collecting payment while you are generating that invoice. And right now, there isn't a way for the player to apply punches to an invoice that they are trying to pay. So if they had the ability to still pay for individual fees, they would be able to make sure that those reservations where a package is eligible to be used on it do get paid before they actually pay for the invoice. And that would probably be the best way to go about that for a player, if they do have reservations that a package could be used on.
Awesome. And then there's another question here about is there a plan to even break down events to where they can choose just one specific class instead of like every adult event category?
Yeah, so right now there is not a way to do that. I think that definitely is some great feedback, especially, if you want to maybe create a package that's only available on the admin side, so players can't purchase it themselves. But maybe you want to kind of create a one-off package for a specific member or group of members. So that definitely is some great feedback that we can take back to the team.
Okay, awesome. Um, we answered the one about packages defaulting every, okay. If I want a player to use it only for a specific session or a range of dates and classes, it sounds like that isn't possible also then to piggyback on that question.
Yeah, so you'd only be able to choose the specific categories it can be used on, and you would only be able to choose the specific time range that the package can be used to pay for a class. But you can't actually restrict it right now based on the date of that event.
Okay. And to confirm, when we're auto assigning packages, we're not able to charge for those auto assignments. It's really just a benefit of having that membership.
Correct. Yeah. Right now, there's no way to set a price to an auto assign package. It's always going to be auto assigned at no additional cost.
Okay, perfect. And let's just wrap up these last two really quickly. Can members see how many punches they have left on their own? I know that we get a lot of feedback on that question, but let's just answer it live for everyone too.
Yes, so players will be able to see the packages that are on their account. Looks like I got logged out there. They will be able to see the packages that are on their account. They will be able to see the amount of punches that are left on that package. So let me make sure I have one on my account really quick, and then I'll jump over to the member portal. Okay, I definitely have one. All right, so if we go over to the member portal here, and let me go to the correct organization actually. So when I am in the member portal as a player here, all of my package information is going to be under the billing menu, and then we're going to have this packages page. So this is actually going to be where the player can go to if they would like to purchase a package. But from this landing page here, they will be able to see all of those current packages that are on their account. They will be able to see the number of punches that have been used up until this point. And when they click on the name of the package, they will also, you can't see it right now because I haven't used any punches, but there will also be a punch usage section so they can actually see what services that package was used on.
Awesome. Here's a question more about use case. Can I make it so that a 90-minute reservation takes 4 punches, or for 4 players are on a reservation, only the ones that have purchased the punch pack can use 1 punch for their portion, while other players can pay cash.
Yeah, so right now there's not a way to differ the punch value based on the fee responsibility for the reservation type. So that would probably depend on how you do have those reservation types configured in your organization. It definitely may be worth having our support team taking a deeper look at that to see if that would be possible based on your setup. I know if they were under different reservation types, that would be possible. But if you were giving the option for a player to pay the full fee versus splitting the fee amongst all of the players under the same reservation type, you wouldn't be able to configure the punch value to differ in both of those cases unless they were completely separate reservation types.
Okay. And then there is one last question here. For auto assigning, I read somewhere that they can get these packages earlier before the month to be used. When do they get it?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out because that actually was an update that we had made somewhat recently. So, when you're setting up the package to be auto assigned and the punch eligibility period is set to assign month only. So, in that case, if I have a package assigned to be in February, it can only be used for reservations or events that have an event or reservation date in February. We got some feedback from some customers that, when you aren't getting, say March's package in advance, you don't really get an opportunity to use those March punches until March 1st, even if registration opens prior to March 1st for those March events. So we did make an update here where if you are using the punch eligibility period of assigned month only, you are actually going to get those auto assigned packages 1 month in advance. So February 1st, a player would actually get their March package. With that being said, it can still only be used for the specific month that the package is assigned for. So, even though on February 1st I get my March package, I can still only use the punches from that March package for reservations or events that take place in the month of March.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a really good update. That was, I think we did towards the late fall. So I'm glad we
Yeah.
talked about and touched on that too. That one was more recent. All right, there's
Mhm.
one last question, Josh, and then I think we are gonna say goodbye for the day. But my members are having trouble finding packages to purchase them because they don't know how to look under billing. Is there an easier way to find it? So
Yeah.
maybe we use that public URL and post it as a header link. Do you want to walk through maybe an example of that?
So there's a few different ways that we could go about this. If you are trying to maybe just take that package landing page on the member portal and make that more accessible for your players, what I would recommend doing is going over to the member portal. And then if you go under billing and then packages, and then you click that purchase package page right here, this URL that we are currently on, something that you could do is you could copy this URL and you can manually make this URL a header under your website settings. So that way you have this available packages page that is right on your header for players to find at all times. And I didn't even realize I had that set up in this organization
Perfect.
already.
Perfect example. And then also just to call out, these header links are also going to show on your modern dashboard under that Explore More section. So if you do create that custom header link that directs them to these available packages, they'll also be able to find those packages when they're looking at their member portal dashboard on a mobile device or in the CourtReserve app. So it is definitely visible for them as an easy button that you can create.
Mhm. Awesome.
All right. Well, Josh, I think that might be all that we were able to have time for today. It doesn't look like there's some other questions that I'm just going to type here to reach out to our support team. But thank you everybody for joining us today. Josh, was there any last words you wanted to share on packages?
Nope, that was all on my end.
All right. Thank you so much everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.